this is Joanna and welcome back to another video for the TheAlleyWayStamps. And I'm starting out by using this stamp set More Than Words. I think there's a lot of good sentiments in that set, and I have this background stamp and also some watercolor paper. And these are watercolors also, they are from Peerless. And you can buy them a bonus pack and you will get all of these smaller ones, and I have just put them in baseball pockets and I store them like that. But I will start with my background piece, and I'm using Tim Holtz watercolor paper, and I'm using the smooth side. And this stamp is from Simon Says Stamp, the background stamp, but I think a lot of other companies carry similar background stamps. And since I'm going to do some embossing, I'm using my anti-static powder bag first. And then I'm just smooshing on my ink pad directly onto the stamp. And my ink pad is actually running out, so that's why I'm inking it up so well. And then I bring my paper, the smooth side, directly over to my stamp. And I just have a scrap piece of paper so I can press the ink over to my watercolor paper. And then I have some white embossing powder. And I just cover the whole sheet with my embossing powder. And the rest of it I will funnel back into the jar. And I use my heat tool to heat the embossing powder up. And it's not very visible on camera, but maybe you can see now that there is a lot of grid lines. And I'm starting out by having a wide brush, and I will saturate the paper just with regular water, and then I will tape it down to my surface. And these are the Peerless watercolors. There's a lot of videos on them and I really like them. There are so many vibrant colors. And they are really easy to store because they are flat, and also if you can travel with them. And you can see the true color on the back side of them, so that's why I was looking on the back side first. So I'm actually only used two colors to create the background, and I'm using this really cool blue one and a purple one. And I'm spraying even more water on so I can get the waters to bleed a little bit. First I was trying to fill in every little square, but it didn't look good, so I just smooshing the colors on there. And I tried to use a darker gray color, but I didn't like that, so while the paint is wet you can just use a baby wipe or a paper towel to pick up the color. So here I'm just working and I'm filling in with colors until I'm happy with the result. And one thing that you can remember when you are working with watercolors is that the end result is not as bright as when the paint is wet. And here I'm using a paper towel to remove water and ink over the grid lines. Then I just use my heat gun to speed up the drying process. And now it's time for the sentiment. And this is a piece of vellum. And I will use the sentiment to a very special friend. And I will stamp that with a Versamark as well, because I'm going to do some heat embossing in white. And I am not cutting it down to size just yet, because I think if you are embossing a vellum, it's very easy to warp the vellum, but if you are embossing on a bigger piece, it doesn't warp as much. So that's why I stamped it on this bigger piece, and then I will cut it out to size. And just make sure that your heat gun is really warm and hot, then it's not warping as much either. And then I just use my paper trimmer to cut it down to size. And I'm also cutting my paper, my watercolor background paper, and I'm cutting on the grid lines. So there is a nice edge. And I just love the result. I think it's so beautiful, and it looks like maybe a starry sky, I think. And I also used some, I used this metal charm, and I have a silver twine. So I'm just tying a little bow around the silver charm. And then I will adhere it directly onto my vellum. And I have a really hard time with tying bows, so I always work with them quite a while. And I'm using multi-matte medium to adhere this to the vellum. This is perfect. I'm sorry that I'm out of frame here, but I actually accidentally used too much, so I had to remove a little bit. But it doesn't matter because this dries matte, so it won't show that I put a little bit too much glue on there. And then I will just hold it in place for a little while, and it dries quite fast. And this is fun foam. This piece is quite warped, so I don't want to use my regular 3M foam tape. So instead I'm using this, you get sheets of fun foam, and it's much cheaper. There is no glue, so you have to adhere some glue on both sides. But this is a really good product. I use it a lot for shaker cards as well. So I adhere the fun foam onto the back. And this fun foam is quite thin as well, so you can easily send this through the mail. And now it's time to adhere the sentiment strip. So I'm just folding the vellum around the piece. And then I'm using some regular tape to make them stay in place. And for the twine, I'm putting it in place, and then I'm tying 2 knots on the back. You could of course have used tape for this as well. I don't know why I tied knots, but either way, anything works. So then again, I'm adhering some glue on the back side. And I'm adhering quite a bit here. And then I'm just working my bow just a little bit more to get it perfect. And then the card is actually done. So I hope that you like this card and that you got inspired. And all of the products that I use, they are listed over at my blog, and you can find that address in the YouTube description down below. So thank you guys so much for watching. Take care. See you soon. Bye.